Hola! Hi everyone, and welcome to the very first meeting of the Couch Club. I'm Valeria, and I moved to the US from Mexico in early 2024. And I'll be honest, learning a new language and making new friends can be a little bit lonely. I guess some of you have felt this way too. So I decided to start my new book club right here in my couch and invite my two best friends to join me. This is Ling. He's my 10-year-old pup and he's a little bit jealous. And he's definitely going to sleep most of the drama. So he might be sleeping through the whole chapters. And this little one is Ramona. She's a Chihuahua mix. She's a rescue Chihuahua mix. She's shy. That's why she doesn't want to be in the video. And she's still learning to be brave in her new home because she's rescue. So just like I'm learning to be brave with my English in recording myself, trust me, this is very vulnerable for me. So I want to invite you to be vulnerable with me and learn by reading a book. So this is the book that we're gonna be reading, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. I have a confession. I'm not a literature expert at all. So I don't care about perfect analysis. Here is to have fun and to learn new words together. So today we're going to start with chapter number 1 of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Grab a blanket, light your candle, get comfortable, and let's see in what kind of trouble Dorothy's getting into.
The text and illustration featured in this video are from the original 1900 edition of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum, illustrated by W. Denzel. This work is in the public domain in the United States and most other countries. The physical copy used for this recording is a faithful reproduction of the 1899-1900 first edition. This video contains an original voice recording and a unique visual presentation, providing significant transformative value to the original public domain work.
The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum with pictures by W. Denzel. Chapter 1, The Cyclone. Dorothy lived in the midst of the great Kansas prairies with Uncle Henry, who was a farmer, and Aunt Em, who was the farmer's wife. Their house was small. From the lumber to build, it had to be carried by wagon many miles. There were 4 walls, a floor, and a roof, which made one room, and this room contained a rustic-looking cook stove, a cupboard for the dishes, and a table for 3 or 4 chairs, and the beds. Uncle Henry and Aunt Em had a big bed in one corner, and Dorothy a little bed in the corner. There was no garret at all, and no cellar, except a small dug in the ground called a Cyclone cellar, there, where the family could go in case of one of those gray whirlings aroused, mighty enough to crush any building in its path. It was reached by a trapdoor in the middle of the floor, from which a ladder led down into the small dark hole. When Dorothy stood in the doorway and looked around, she could see nothing but the great prairie on every side. Not a tree nor a house broke the broad sweep of flat country that reached to the edge of the sky in all directions. The sun had baked the plough land into gray mass, with little cracks running through it. Even the grass was not green, for the sun had burned the tops of the long blades until they were the same gray color to be seen everywhere. Once the house had been painted, but the sun blistered the paint and the rains washed it away, and now the house was a dull gray as everything else. When Aunt Em came there to live, she was a young, pretty wife. The sun and wind had changed her too. They had taken the sparkle from her eyes and left them a sober gray. They had taken the red from her cheeks and lips, and they were gray also. She was thin and gaunt, and never smiled now. When Dorothy who was an orphan, first came to her, and Aunt Em had been so startled by the child's laughter that she would scream and press her hand upon her heart whenever Dorothy's merry voice reached her ears, and she still looked at the little girl with wonder that she could find anything to laugh at. Uncle Henry never laughed. He worked hard from morning till night, and did not know what joy was. He was gray also, from his long beard and his rough boots. He looked stern and solemn, and rarely spoke. It was Toto that made Dorothy laugh and saved her from growing from growing as gray as the other surroundings. Toto was not gray. He was a little black dog with long silky hair and small black noses that twinkled merrily on either side of his funny wee nose. Toto played all day long, and Dorothy played with him and loved him dearly. Oh, he doesn't play anymore because he's 10. Oh, he's old. She's a little joy. Today, however, they were not playing. Uncle Henry sat upon the doorstep and looked anxiously at the sky, which was even grayer than usual. Dorothy stood in the door with Toto in her arms and looked at the sky too. Aunt Em was watching the ditches. From the far north, they heard a low wail on the wind, and Uncle Henry and Dorothy could see where the long grass bowed in waves before the coming storm. There now came a sharp whistling in the air from the south. As they turned their eyes that way, they saw ripples in the grass coming from that direction too. Also, suddenly, Uncle Henry stood up. There's a cyclone coming, Em, he called to his wife. I'll go look after the stock. Then he ran towards the sheds where the cows and horses were kept. Aunt Em dropped her work and came to the door. One glance told her of the dangers close at hand. Quick, Dorothy, she screamed. Run for the cellar. Toto jumped out of Dorothy's arm and hid under the bed, and the girls started to get him. Aunt Em, badly frightened, threw open the trap door in the floor and climbed down the ladder into the small dark hole. Dorothy caught Toto and last and started to follow her aunt. When she was halfway across the room, there came a great shriek from the wind, and the house shook so hard that she lost her footing and sat down suddenly upon the floor. Then a strange thing happened. The house whirled around 2 or 3 times and rose slowly through the air. Dorothy felt as she were going up in a balloon. The north and south winds met where the house stood and made it to the exact center of the cyclone. In the middle of the cyclone, the air is generally still, but the great pressure of the wind on every side of the house raised up higher and higher until it was at the very top of the cyclone. And there it remained and was carried miles and miles away, as easy as you could carry a feather. It was very dark, and the wind howled horribly around her. But Dorothy found she was riding quite easily. Sorry. Oh, she's hot. After the first few whirls around and one other time when the house tipped badly, she felt as she were being rocked gently, like a baby in a cradle. Toto did not like it. He ran above the room, now here, now there, now here, now there, barking loudly. But Dorothy sat quite still on the floor and waited to see what would happen. Once Toto got too near the open trapdoor and fell in, and at first the little girl thought she had lost him, but she saw one of his ears sticking up through the hole, for the strong pressure of the air was keeping him up so that he could not fall. She crept to the hole, caught Toto by the ear, and dragged him into the room again. Afterward, closing the trapdoor so that no more accidents could happen. Oh, she was gonna lose his little Toto. Hours after hour passed away, and slowly Dorothy got over her fright. But she felt quite lonely, and the wind shrieked so loudly all about her that she nearly became deaf. At first, she had wondered if she would be dashed to pieces when the house fell again. But as the hours passed and nothing terribly happened, she stopped worrying and resolved to wait calmly and see what the future would bring. At last, she crawled over the swaying floor to her bed and lay down upon it, and Toto followed and lay down beside her. In spite of the swaying of the house and the wailing of the wind, Dorothy soon closed her eyes and fell asleep. And that's the end of chapter 1. Well, what an interesting chapter. I think Dorothy is definitely a deep sleeper. After reading along, what are your thoughts? If your house started flying now, will you also be taking a nap, or how will you think you would react? Also, what was a word in the chapter that was hard for you? Let's also help each other out in the comments below. And if you like our little reading session, don't forget to subscribe and join the club so we can keep doing these videos. Next time, we're going to be landing in Oz and meeting some very strange people. See you on the couch. Adios!